today's sparring day. About to get ready to spar. It's fun, sparring Canelo. Trying to pick his brain. He got I think he 70 fights in. Turned pro at 15, so I was picking his brain, having fun, and sharpening my tools. That's about it. I got being in the ring with Canelo, I'm just trying to pick his mind, see what he got. Also getting in shape as well for my own fight. Good? Good. Yeah? Yeah, great. Appreciate you. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Great work. Almost there. Yeah, almost there. Almost time. Yeah.
How do you see this fight with Canelo going?
I'm definitely going to win the fight for sure. But, I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think he's going to bring the best out of me. I'm going to bring the best out of him. And it's going to be an exciting fight.
Jaron Ennis only needed 3 words to sum up what it was like sharing the ring with Canelo Alvarez. And his short but sharp reaction instantly stirred up the buzz around Canelo's upcoming fight with Terrence Crawford.
Yo, it kind of broke the internet. That might have been like your 3rd time this year. Yeah. Did you expect this kind of attention from a sparring session?
I already knew it was going to go crazy. Once we posted the pic, I'm like, yo, this junk going to go everywhere. We kind of figured it, and it kind of, you could say it made the fight more interesting, because everybody kind of want to tune in a little bit more to see, what's going to happen for them.
When you saw that he brought in Jaron, what was your reaction? Your first initial reaction when you saw that news?
I actually didn't see it. Somebody showed me, and I was just like, so what that mean? He's not me.
Yeah.
As much as a lot of people, say we have similarities and, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, and I'm not him. So.
Yeah. Tim had said comparison that he's like a Chrysler 300 and you're like a Bentley.
Yeah, once again, he's not me. He's trying to get to where I'm at. He's where he at, I'm where I'm at. He got a long way to go.
Ennis, who is seen as one of the brightest stars of the new generation, had the chance to spar with the Mexican superstar not long ago. For him, the experience wasn't just about preparing for his own career, but also about stepping into a space where he could learn, grow, and test himself against one of boxing's most accomplished champions. Even though some fans and critics questioned why he'd help someone who was preparing to face an American rival like Crawford, Ennis didn't hesitate. For him, it was more about the experience, the lessons, and the chance to be in the ring with a living legend.
It was a great, great experience. I love being out there. It was fun. I had a great time.
All right. Being that this was your 2nd time, right? What do you feel like you gained from it?
Just having fun. Being in there with what he got, 70, Canelo got 70 fights or something 67 fights or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was just cool being there, be able to share the ring with him, having fun, learning different things. And I was out there fishing. I was doing a bunch of different stuff. It was cool to get away. And I love that I, experienced that, getting away, sparring Canelo, fishing, just having fun, with my brother, and things like that, so it was cool.
Ennis had recently vacated his welterweight titles to make a move to 154 pounds, and while preparing for that jump, he found himself in Canelo's camp. The sparring sessions gave him exactly what he wanted, a chance to learn from a fighter who had been in 70 fights, fought across multiple divisions, and was considered by many the face of boxing. For Ennis, the trip away from his usual Philadelphia base gave him a refreshing change of environment. He soaked in every moment, enjoying the atmosphere, the challenges, and the chance to train at the highest level. He even hinted that next time, he might take his whole training camp to that same setup because of how much he enjoyed it.
I feel like it was the perfect time because, like you said, I'm moving up in weight, and I want to just, experience something different. I always do camp in Philly, I just wanted to do something different, and I definitely think I'm gonna take my whole next camp, full camp to, you know, over there and where we was at. You know, I loved it out there. You know, it was great.
When people criticized him for helping Canelo while Crawford was preparing for the same opponent, Ennis brushed it off. He made it clear that he wasn't doing it for anyone else but for himself. The chance to exchange punches and strategies with someone of Canelo's caliber was too good to pass up. It wasn't about loyalty or politics. It was about growth. Ennis walked away from the experience not only satisfied but motivated, feeling like he had picked up tools that would help him as he now steps up into the super welterweight division. His next test comes soon enough when he faces Wisma Lima, but for now, his brief story about sparring Canelo has only made the upcoming clash between Canelo and Crawford even more intriguing.
Yeah. Did you expect this kind of attention from a sparring session?
I already knew it was gonna go crazy. You know, once we posted the pick, I'm like, yo, this junk gonna go everywhere. We kind of like figured it, and you know, it kind of, I guess you could say it made the fight more interesting now, because everybody kind of like want to tune in a little bit more to see, you know, what's gonna happen for them.
What's your thoughts on the backlash, though?
I ain't gonna lie, I really don't care. I ain't gonna lie, I went out there not only to help, not help, but I went out there for myself, basically, like, you know, to start my first 2 weeks off at camp. Out in where we was at, you know, with the elevation and all that was phenomenal. This was for me. It wasn't for nobody else. You know, I went out there and I got the experience, you know, being in the ring with Canelo. And like I said, we was having fun. I had a great time sparring him, and it was good, you know, good.
As the boxing world waits for Saturday night in Las Vegas, more voices have chimed in with their thoughts on how this battle will play out. William Skull, the Cuban fighter who most recently stood across from Canelo in May, knows firsthand what it's like to face him at super middleweight. His fight against Alvarez ended in defeat, costing him his unbeaten record and his IBF belt. Despite the criticism he faced for not offering much resistance in that bout, Skull still has insight into Canelo's power, experience, and dominance at 168 pounds. When asked about Crawford's chances, Skull didn't shy away from his view. He admitted that while Crawford is an elite fighter and the matchup is exciting on paper, the weight difference cannot be ignored.
I think it's going to be a great fight. There is a disadvantage in regards to the weight classes. If there wasn't, it would be a 50-50 fight, but because of this fighting at this weight class definitely benefits Canelo. I say about a 75% chance that Canelo wins the fight.
But Crawford looks bigger now. He's put on a little bit of weight. You don't think that might make it a little bit more closer?
Crawford ha puesto mucho peso últimamente. William, ¿tú no crees que esto puede hacer la pelea un poquito más apretada?
Bueno, hay que esperar, pues sinceramente es una pelea que es para ver, ¿no? No puede dar pronóstico, pero bueno, sí, lo he visto un poco más fuerte, ¿no? Pero bueno, Canelo baja de otra división y Crawford está subiendo, no es lo mismo, ¿me entiendes? Pero bueno, es una pelea que hay que ver, hay que sentarse a ver y va a ser un gran espectáculo para la afición y les suelto a los dos que se cuiden, que salgan con salud y que sea un gran espectáculo.
No, it's definitely going to be a fight that everybody's going to want to see. Again, you know, Canelo is staying at his weight, and Crawford, even though he looks stronger, he's really coming up in weight a lot. But, you know, it's boxing, and anything can happen. And I want both of them to be at least, because it's a dangerous fight, for both of them to take care of themselves.
Another respected voice weighing in is Shawn Porter. As someone who shared the ring with Crawford before, he knows the kind of opponent Canelo is about to face. Porter, a former two-time world champion at welterweight, didn't sugarcoat his opinion. He acknowledged that he has a natural bias toward his fellow American and former rival, but said he had to put emotions aside when assessing the fight. For him, the timing of this matchup is fascinating. Both men are meeting at a stage in their careers where the stakes couldn't be higher. Porter pointed out that Crawford at 37 is still sharp, healthy, and mentally tough. He believes that the key to beating Crawford isn't to break him down physically, but mentally, something that very few fighters have even come close to doing. At the same time, Porter also recognized Canelo's experience and the battles he's been through.
When I talk about a fight with Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, it does come from a personal place for me to root for him, but I know how to put my bias aside and be realistic about this fight. I think it's perfect timing for both of these guys. I think that this is a fight that both guys have the ability to win. I think that Canelo has been in enough wars and Terrence hasn't. So I think health is on his side. I think the ability to be able to be 100% on fight night is on Terrence's side. I think Canelo is going to come to the ring at 90%. He's just, that's where he's at now.
Yeah.
And if he's strong enough and he's mentally prepared to do what it takes to break down Terrence, you got to break down Terrence mentally. You don't break him down physically. You break him down mentally, you know? So it's a tall feat for both these guys. And I think that it's very real. This is a 50-50 fight, I think. And I do think that Terrence will pull it off.
Not everyone is siding with Crawford, though. Manny Pacquiao, who knows a thing or two about competing across multiple weight classes, made his stance crystal clear. The Filipino legend, who became a world champion in 8 divisions, sided with Canelo. He looked at the matchup and saw Alvarez as the man more likely to emerge victorious. Pacquiao's reasoning was simple. Alvarez has already proven himself at higher weights, even fighting as high as 175 pounds. Crawford, on the other hand, has spent almost his entire career between 140 and 154, with just one fight above welterweight.
I think he won the fight. He's gonna beat Crawford? Yeah. I think so too. Let's go. Canelo!
Adding more fuel to the debate was Lester Martinez, one of Crawford's sparring partners leading up to the fight. The unbeaten Guatemalan contender gave insight into what Crawford looks like now at 168 pounds compared to when he was campaigning at welterweight. According to Martinez, Crawford has actually felt stronger, with more pop in his punches than before. He described him as explosive and sharp, pointing out that the added size hasn't slowed him down. Martinez emphasized that the speed and snap are still there, and in some ways, Crawford might be even more dangerous now.
Haciendo sparring con él desde que estaba en las 147 libras, mi primer sparring con él en las 147. Yo era ya 168, sigo siendo 168, y lo único que hizo ahora pues es subir de peso, aumentar de peso, y sí se siente muy diferente en haber hecho sparring con él en 147 y ahora hacer sparring con él en 168. Pero yo creo que
¿Cómo se siente diferente?
en el sentido que le he sentido más pegada, más explosivo, la rapidez, el snap lo tiene todavía el cabrón, no lo he sentido, pero creo que la nutrición que lleva, el equipo de trabajo con el que tiene, hizo una muy buena base para estar en las 168 libras.
Dicen que Lester Martínez pegue bien duro, pero también una pregunta en la pelea es, pues, ¿puede aguantar Crawford la pegada de un Canelo?
Sí, de hecho que sí. De hecho, te digo, los sparring que él ha hecho con personas más grandes que él, más pesados, con mi persona. Y sí, es solo que lo vean.
Meanwhile, Oscar de la Hoya, a man who knows Canelo well from their years together under Golden Boy Promotions, gave a very different take. De la Hoya was blunt in dismissing the matchup as unrealistic. From his point of view, the fight is tilted heavily in Canelo's favor because of the size gap. He argued that the media might be hyping it up as one of the biggest fights of the decade, but to him, the thought of Crawford jumping up 2 full divisions to face someone like Canelo was almost laughable. He even went as far as saying that Canelo would run Crawford out of the ring, pointing to Crawford's struggles in his fight with Israel Madrimov as evidence that he won't be able to handle Canelo's physicality.
Is there anyone you would like to see Crawford fight next you think would be a good opponent for him?
I think,
A good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of great fighters out there. I mean, a lot of people are mythically matching up Crawford versus Canelo, which I feel Crawford will win.
Yeah. Okay.
But it'll be a great fight.
Yeah.
George Kambosos Jr. has a clear sense of what Terrence Crawford is trying to achieve when he steps into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. Looking back at Alvarez's most recent performance against William Skull, Kambosos pointed out how the Mexican star seemed to struggle when it came to cutting off the ring, something that hinted at possible signs of decline. Still, he was quick to add a warning. When a fighter of Alvarez's stature is thrown into a high-stakes matchup, he always seems to dig deeper and rise to the occasion.
Both guys have such dynamic, boxing attributes, and like I said, Canelo has to press Crawford. He has to be able to use his size, bully him, and able to land them shots that are going to hurt him and put him in 2 frames of mind. Now Crawford, on the other hand, as much as the size difference doesn't really look like there is a size difference, there is a difference in the weight they've been fighting at. And like I said, Canelo's been fighting as high as a light heavyweight. Crawford, in his last fight did go up to junior middleweight against Madrimov. He did seem to struggle a little bit with a guy at a higher weight. So now you're moving up to super middleweight, will have some effect. But again, it is the biggest fight of his life, biggest fight of Canelo's life, and you're gonna truly think that they're gonna be prepared for anything. But the big thing is, will Crawford be able to dictate the fight against a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who's the bigger man, the guy's gonna be pushing the pressure. You know, we saw the way he dictated and hurt Errol Spence, you know, in that big fight where no one thought he would be able to do that against a guy like Spence. So, you know, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Eddie Hearn also offered his take, emphasizing that Crawford's chances are very real if he leans on the right tactics. He recalled Alvarez's loss to Dimitri Bivol in 2022, a fight where Bivol used smart movement, constant angles, and well-timed offense to neutralize Canelo's strengths. In Hearn's eyes, that fight laid out the exact roadmap for Crawford. If he can stay mobile, manage the pace, and avoid standing in one spot long enough for Alvarez to load up, the American could well steal the show. At the same time, Hearn recognized that Canelo has made 168 pounds his home, while Crawford is stepping into unfamiliar waters, which makes the task that much tougher.
I think Canelo Crawford is a fight, you know, one of the best fights that can be made in boxing. Backwards and forwards on it, if I'm honest. I mean, my worry is, I see the size of Crawford, you know, he looks pumped up, like much bigger obviously than usual. And it's very difficult to do that to your body and go in and perform like you always perform. I don't know if that's going to help him or hinder him. I hate picking against Canelo Alvarez because, you know, I say he's a mate. I respect him a huge amount. We work together. I worry if he's the same fighter at this stage of his career. I mean, let's be honest, both guys are old in terms of, you know, fighters in their prime. What's Crawford, 36, 37, Canelo, but same 36, they're the same kind of age, I think. I worry about Canelo's legs. I just, you know, I remember watching the Skull fight, and he was demotivated for the Skull fight, so you can't take too much from it, but I just felt that his legs looked like they were slowing down a little bit. And, you know, can Crawford handle the power at 168? Let's be honest, he didn't look sensational against Madrimov at 154. Like, he's been so inactive. He's been fighting once a year for the last 2 years, 3 years even. Right now, my head is just leaning with Crawford slightly.
On the other hand, Bryant Jennings views the matchup from a very different angle. The former heavyweight, remembered for lasting 12 rounds with Vladimir Klitschko, doesn't agree with the old saying that a bigger man always beats the smaller one. For him, Crawford's speed, athleticism, and sheer willpower make up for the size gap. He has seen plenty of smaller fighters give bigger opponents serious problems, and he believes this case will be no different. Jennings even went as far as predicting that the fight would reach the judges' scorecards, with Crawford edging out a tight split decision victory.
I'm leaning more towards Crawford as time goes on. And I guess it's just him coming from a lower weight, you know, because it's like, you know, me witnessing a person like, you know, Boots, that's a lower weight, and it, like, a lot of times weight don't really matter, you know, because I've seen him smash guys that are just like way bigger than him. So I'm looking at it in a sense of, I think Crawford can handle the weight difference, and he could bring, you know, the elusiveness of a lower. I mean, Canelo lower too, but Canelo fight more like a bully in a sense. He's lower too. He's good too, but he just fight more like he fight more with like more strength, overpowering. You know, he has great technique. He's great, but I'm just looking at the athleticism and the will that Crawford always had and always brought, and I'm just thinking of that just transforming into like this weight difference. The weight difference is the only thing that we could pretty much, you know, argue about. But I think with the weight difference, you know, with me witnessing like smaller guys really just like do damage to bigger guys, it's like, you know what, that kind of really don't matter in a sense. It's as long as, you know, you're good on your game, you're good on your feet, and you know you can duck and block some punches.
Rounding out the list of voices is Roy Jones Jr., who has made a surprising change of heart. Initially, Jones leaned toward Crawford, believing that the American's skills could carry him to victory. But as the fight drew closer, and after hearing that Canelo had sparred with someone like Jaron Ennis, he started to reconsider. For him, the choice of sparring partner showed that Alvarez was taking this fight very seriously, preparing for the switch-hitting style Crawford brings. Jones still acknowledged that Crawford has the talent to beat anyone on any night, but now he sees the fight as much more even. In his eyes, it will come down to who can be most comfortable on the night, Canelo in his weight or Crawford in his ring craft.
Man, I have mixed feelings. You know, I have mixed feelings, and emotionally, I'm very happy that the fight is happening because it's a great fight for both fighters. Initially, I thought maybe Canelo didn't have the hunger to go out there and really try to keep Bud off him or try to go at Bud, you know. When I heard he had Jaron Ennis in camp, it made me realize that he really is trying to prepare for Bud, because Jaron Ennis is probably the only other person that can really logically and realistically fight left-handed or right-handed, which is what he's going to see from Bud. That lets me know that Canelo's taking it serious. If Canelo's taking it serious, it's going to be a much harder fight for Bud than I anticipated. I still think Bud has the skill to beat anybody on any night, but so does Canelo. So this makes it a much more intriguing fight for me. It's hard to really pick a winner now. I was kind of leaning more toward Bud in the beginning, but now I see that Canelo's taking it really serious. It's a little bit harder because Canelo has been at that weight for some time. Bud's just not coming to that weight. So Canelo is comfortable in the weight. Bud is comfortable in the ring. That being said, it's just going to be who can be most comfortable that night. And I don't know who that's going to be right now.
All these opinions from fighters past and present shape the buildup to what is being called a super fight. Canelo Alvarez, the established champion at 168 pounds, brings size, power, and a wealth of experience. Terrence Crawford, the smaller man moving up, brings skill, speed, and a chance to make history. Whether it ends in a knockout, a decision, or a shocking upset, this showdown is shaping up to be more than just another fight. It's a battle between two men chasing legacy, and the outcome will echo through the sport for years to come.